Look, I'm a PlayStation jerk.
Say something one more time.
Look, I'm a PlayStation jerk. I'm running out of things to say.
For those wondering at home, this is what Paul does every day.
I do play video games every day. I assume it's obvious from what I write that I don't just play video games every day. But yeah, I like to fill the little times, time before a podcast starts, time after a marriage ends, what are those things?
Every hour from 2 to 4 p.m.
Yeah. Yeah. Look, it's not going to prestige itself.
That is fair.
They don't have that technology.
I think they do. I think you can just buy accounts that have...
Yep. Buy some kids from Korea who will play the game for me at a much higher level.
And longer duration.
Yeah, exactly. There's certain efficiencies to this game that I have no doubt not mastered.
Such as killing?
I'm pretty good at that. Actually, the PlayStation was a nice opportunity for me to start my KD ratio over. I should see where that's at, actually. 0.12. No. I feel like you are terrible.
I'm just happy that you can tell your own jokes and entertain yourself. And I'm not really needed here.
Sometimes the reaction on your face is all I need. I get that from my daughter as well. Like I sometimes will say things just to watch her face, because her reaction is she's always just like, like I seriously have to deal with this guy. Oh, it's restarting the game. I'll look at that later. I told Tim we were doing a podcast, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry about that.
Paul?
Yep.
Have you stepped outside today?
Yes.
And it's
getting there. It's still muggy and warm here, but it's easily 15 degrees cooler than it was yesterday.
It is 76 degrees Fahrenheit outside. The windows are open.
Did you just get that information from your wrist?
I did.
You're like Dick Tracy.
I know. It's almost like widgets and little nuggets of information on your desktop would be helpful, but we don't have that on Windows 10.
Yeah, we used to.
Yeah, gadgets. Paul, one quick show note here before we start. We're going to play my favorite game on a podcast. It's called Will Brad's Laptop Have Enough Battery?
There's this little technology they invented that would help avert this disaster. It's called plugging in your laptop.
But they promised all day battery life.
Yeah, when was the last time you charged this thing? Like Sunday?
About a week ago.
Just sits there and slowly dies all week.
Yeah, I mean, I use it more than that, but yeah. I mean, aren't we all just slowly dying?
Yeah, literally in my case, yeah.
Living is the longest way to die, Paul. That's true.
It's a heartwarming way to look at life.
Yeah, it really is.
Life is just the downtime between birth and death.
Yeah, we're really like in a positive and upbeat mood here, folks. Anybody else? Anybody got any relatives that have passed away recently we can harp on or
throw under a bus?
Yeah. Things that won't get thrown under a bus, but that terrible transition. Anyways, iPhones might come in a bunch of different colors. iPhone X to come in gold, Paul, which I believe that was your last iPhone. No, that was
you gotta get over it. That was my last. Well, okay, I did buy an iPhone 10 since then. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're quite taken with my terrible decision to buy a gold phone.
I am.
I thought it looked okay. And I put, I used the brown leather case with
right.
It looks nice in there.
Yeah. But if you're wanting the cheapo model, and cheapo being 700 bones, You're apparently going to have blue, red, orange, space gray, and silver variants.
Yeah. I've always wondered why they didn't do more colors. I hope this is true. That was one thing I liked about the iPhone 5C.
Yeah, well, they've always done red, but they do it like 5 months later in the spring.
Yep.
And so we will see what they actually launch with. I'm almost certainly going to get the iPhone X, but I'm going to try to weasel my wife into the cheaper one because
Yep.
Yeah.
Sure.
That she doesn't care.
Mm-hmm.
So, before you get into your Windows 10 good, bad, and ugly, Paul, this is somewhat shocking because somebody tweeted something about Microsoft needs to bring. It was Kyle, who works on the Edge team, tweeted that they should bring back the. Oh God, I can't even remember what advertising campaign it was.
Scribbled.
No, it was a PC one. Was it? It wasn't. I'm a PC, or maybe it was.
I designed Windows 7
or whatever. But do you remember PC does what? That stupid campaign is PC does what? And yeah.
That sounds terrible. And vaguely, I remember the I'm a PC thing.
No. Oh, I think it was I'm a PC is what he was talking about. But there
was a PC does what thing too. Because when Mary Jo and I went to Manchester, that was the running gag at that time.
So so when he tweeted that out, I went to go find one of those annoying commercials and to send it to him and be like, yeah, they should do this one too. All that information has been scrubbed from the internet for the most part. And I'm not even kidding.
Yeah, like those Windows 7 launch party videos, which are unbelievably horrible.
Yep. I challenge, and you can find them. There was the only really one you can find it on the internet still, which is just an in-place promo, was on the Ellen show, where they did a segment on it. You can tell it's just poorly paid out and whatever. And she's even ripping on the name. But I tried to find those commercials, and they you'll find blog posts where people reference them, and they've all been deleted, like the actual videos.
Yeah, you're right.
They're gone.
That is really funny.
Yep.
Bunch of nerds.
Somebody came up with that brilliant thing and thought they were going to get a promotion, and yep.
I feel like they were going with that kind of Surface, the Surface commercials. Remember they had students in the student skirts and stuff, and it looks like they were trying to bring that forward and give that as a gift, to the PC ecosystem or something.
Yeah.
It's weird.
It was weird. But Paul, as you noted, Windows 10 is about 3 years old. I think we're like 10, 15 days away from the official launch, and you did the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Yeah. This is one of those. There are some things I think most people would kind of agree on, and then I think we all have our own little personal pet peeves and everything. And it was also, I was kind of looking at it, and I was like, you can be a little harsher than you mean to be in some cases, and there are things that have good aspects and bad aspects, right? So I had originally put Windows as a service in the ugly category, but then I realized, you got to give them a little credit. They've actually done a good job of making it a lot easier to upgrade or upgrade Windows 10. They do it too much. I think that's the bad part of it, but they actually have made it a far more reliable process. So one of the benefits to all the pain we've been through is that they've learned a lot, and so, I think it's always interesting with things like you do this sometimes with your reviews. You'll go back and look at like a Surface product and say 6 months later or whatever the time frame is, see how the thing's holding up or whatever. Where Windows 10 is this thing that kind of continues. So 3 years in, had the old regime been running the show, we would have been moving on to Windows, 12 or something or whatever they would have called it.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. Do you think Windows 10, 3 years in, is a good thing or a bad thing?
Well, it's a good thing. You're right. So fundamentally, the things that are truly the most important are mostly all better in Windows 10 than they used to be. And they're better today than they were 3 years ago, right? Just the fundamentals of it. So when I think about Windows 10, especially the first version, and the biggest change that they made was to return to the kind of PC-centric UX thing. Smart and important, and Windows 8 was a terrible divergence, On the downside, though, they continued forward with this mobile app platform, which has gone literally nowhere. And so they've tried to adjust for that over time by doing things like those bridge technologies and allowing developers who use other technologies to improve their apps as well, and not just force them down this UWP route. But yeah, I mean, there have been fundamental changes to the way that Windows is set up and reset and reinstalled. And, one of the greatest things about Windows 10 ever, and all you have to do to understand this is to go back and try this with Windows 7 or Windows 8, is that you can install this thing however you choose to do it.
Yeah.
And once the OS is up and running and you run Windows Update, you have one cumulative update and maybe a handful of little things like driver updates, whatever they might be. You reboot once and you're pretty much done. Windows 7 is like a weekend-long affair of installing and installing and installing, and it's literally like 160 something updates to install, several reboots. There are times in Windows Update where it's like, oh, look, you only have 3 more things to do, and then you do them all, you reboot, and now you have another 7 more things to do, and then it becomes like a career. So they kind of solved that problem, and I think that stuff is great. And then unfortunately there was a little dark era there in the middle where we went off in this nonsense path and we added a lot of stupid things to Windows 10. But the nice thing is, with the most current release and with the version they're working on now, they've kind of gone back to those fundamentals again. And what we see is largely, and I mean almost exclusively, productivity focused updates that I think are way more beneficial to the majority of the Windows user base than were a lot of the big bucket features they had added before.
Yeah, if you could, well, I got real dark there. I was going to say, could you just keep talking for a few more minutes here?
Jeez, really? Really?
Well, what
you
I
make fun of me for playing video games before we start the podcast. You're jumping into a video game during the podcast.
Well, I figured you were going to be ranting for a while, so.
Look, I will say this as far as like any list like this goes, especially when you call it like good, bad, and ugly,
Sure.
People are going to look at it. And I haven't looked at the comments too much yet. I'll go through that today. I'll have to have a couple of drinks first, but people are going to be horrible. People are going to have their own kind of ideas. Some people are going to agree. It's one of those things. It's sort of divisive. I think the most controversial thing in there is my inclusion of the Windows Insider program, which I kind of equate to McDonald's, meaning it was such a good idea and it was the right idea for the right time. But when we look back at the result years later, we realized we went off base a little bit. And the problem there is not the idea, which was great. Like, it was started to, counter the Steven Sinofsky secrecy baloney.
Right.
Smart and necessary, really nice. Engage with the community at a time when the market is shrinking. All good. Good people over there, Donna Sakar, Gabe, from before.
Yep, absolutely.
Love all those guys. And the problem is that the community that you're engaging with is by definition is enthusiasts, and it's going to be skewed toward that audience, not to the broader audience of people out in the world.
Yeah.
And I know they do other things to determine what features get in there and so forth. But anytime you have a voting system, which is what that is, when you're asking people to upvote things in the feedback hub, no normal human being is ever going to do that. Though what I just said is nonsense words to my wife, and I'm sure to your wife, and to any normal human being. And you see the results in the product, Yeah. And not all of it's bad. Don't get me wrong. I think, again, people are going to get too sensitive about some of this stuff, but a lot of this is kind of tied to my notions about telemetry data and an over-reliance on that kind of thing, that if you're limited by the data you're getting, where it's coming from, and by the way you're interpreting it. And there's a lot of areas of error there. And I think unfortunately the Windows Insider program, can't attract a wide body of normal people. It's not going to, my wife is never going to join this thing. She does not, she may have feelings about how this product could be made better. I doubt she ever thinks like that, but
right.
She does not want to engage with that at all. And no normal person would. And by normal, I mean,
not us.
Normal, not freaks of nature like us hiding in our basements playing video games.
Well, I've got an AK. Like I'm
Jeez.
Doing all right. I'm actually in the circle, so I will be all right for a few minutes. But back to, I guess I should do adult things and maybe do the podcast.
if you want to. Okay, I can wing it for a little while.
Yeah, I mean, you were doing a great job. I figured I was trying to put that towards the end because I knew it would take you a few minutes to get in. I was like, well, let's see if I can get a kill. But
sorry.
It's fine. It's fine. But one of the things we do here, folks, on Friday, and actually one of the reasons why I disconnected that screen is that also drains the battery a little bit more, and I'm down to 4%.
Are you playing this on your PC? Oh no, I see
no.
what you
This
did.
is
You took off the. I get you.
yeah. This is the X. This is the One X.
Mhm.
One of the things we do here on Friday is take a look back at the comments. And speaking of Paul's good, bad, and ugly, False Agent writes, I think Microsoft needs to perhaps take a year off and just clean up the UI a bit. It's all over the place now. It's bad. I mean, it's not that Windows 10 looks bad. It's just rough.
Yeah, yeah. You know, this is the topic I do kind of harp on a lot. It's the finish the job theory I have.
Yep.
You know, Microsoft's culture is really big on shipping things. There's not a lot of reward for taking something that's already out in the world and making it a little bit better, you know? And so, yeah, there are huge consistency issues across Windows 10. I've used the example of the notepad icon, which has a glass element to the front of the notepad, like from Windows Vista.
Oh, what? Yeah.
Still in there today.
Yep.
Insanity. I think the Windows Media Player icon is the same. I mean, it's a legacy application. That's no big deal. But someone pointed out in our forums today an inconsistency in the latest version of Microsoft Office, where one of the help things that comes down shows a screenshot of Windows XP, which is not supported anymore. So, and I'm sure the newest product doesn't even run on Windows XP. So it was like, it was from an older version of the product, and they just kept it in there since Windows 7 ships, since Windows 8 ships, since Windows 10 ships. I mean, you know, again, there aren't eyeballs on these kinds of things. And yeah, he's right. It's a huge issue.
Yep. And then the other one comes from Polycrastinator on my post about getting the Edge advertisement in Windows 10 when I'm already using Edge. He says, Microsoft, I literally have Edge open right now. It's my default browser. I'm using Chrome because the Exchange Admin Center in Office 365, your own product, by the way, does not work in Edge.
Yeah. I was wondering if this was going to be a privacy related thing, because the one thing I did think when you brought this up, because you pinged me in the morning before you wrote the article, you said, what do you think about this? And the first thing that went through my head was Microsoft's response is going to be, well, but we value your privacy, so we're not, you know, we're not putting the two and two together. See, you know, like which I feel would be kind of a hollow claim if that were the case.
So I actually did get a response from them. They reached out to me. I didn't even ping them, and they told me it was a mistake. I wasn't supposed to see that.
Nice. Okay, there you go. That's great. Good.
Yep.
And it will be fixed in the next major release of Windows 10, which is coming out in October.
Rapid updates, rapid fails, something like that.
Sure.
Yep. Oh, there goes my computer. Just in time, though. Paul, you got anything else for today?
I don't know if you want to get into this too much, but this might be an interesting topic.
Yep.
Just briefly. I do that Ask Paul thing every Friday.
Yep.
Somebody asked about the Andromeda reporting and kind of the pissing contest that's occurring online, you know, like Dan Rubino and Tom Warren were going back and forth about who did what first, and everyone is trying to scramble for credit and, you know, blah, 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 whatever. And, you know, these are the kind of issues that come up, you know, and we exist in this, we have our own little community of people who do what we do, which is tech reporting and blogging. And there are rivalries of sorts, and I'm sure, you know, there are guys over at Windows Central that don't like the way we do things, or you know, we don't like the way The Verge does things, or whatever it might be. Like, it goes back and forth. I think we all understand, you know, the right way to do things, and sometimes we get ahead of ourselves and whatever. We all make mistakes, and I think that the issue I wanted to just raise along these lines was simply that the thing that people shouldn't forget, and I think maybe this is the important thing, is when we go to industry events and we hang out with these guys, we get along great, and I think it's healthy to do that because it's a reminder that we're all human beings and people, and we're all you know, failing in some way and succeeding in some other ways or whatever. And we're trying to keep our businesses afloat, and there are all these things, and everyone wants credit. I mean, I think there's nothing worse than writing something original or getting, like you did, you had this great source at Microsoft, and then just watch the world kind of run away with it. And you know, in some cases that people who are confirming things are not confirming anything. They're just repeating what you wrote and stealing the credit because they know that you're a credible reporter and that you have a good source. And that kind of stuff can be hard, you know, and it's very human, I think, in some cases, to kind of lash out at other people because you feel you're not getting the correct credit or whatever. But I guess what I wanted to talk about most was simply this notion that I don't want to crap on anybody. I want to say that, honestly, in our industry, I like basically all of these people, like, a lot. And when I spend time with Dan Rubino or Tom Warren or Rich over at NeoWin, or Richard over at my former job. I like these guys a lot. I mean, a lot. And I'm glad that we're all friends of sorts, and I'm glad for the time that we get to spend together. And I hope that this kind of thing doesn't get in the way of that.
Yep.
It shouldn't.
Yeah. The only thing I have to add to that is that I do actually, in fact, hate Paul and try to avoid him at events. But
yeah, but that's a good case of keeping your enemies closer. Like, you don't have to worry about me if you're working with me. I imagine I'm awful to you now. Imagine if you worked somewhere else. I mean, we would just be dogging each other all day on Twitter. It'd be terrible. But now we can do it privately, and also on Twitter.
Yep. And the only thing I would add to that is we're all pushing the same agenda of trying to basically uncover Microsoft's roadmap without them telling us. And so everybody gets little pieces here and there, and we're better.
Yeah, there's all kinds of inside baseball stuff. You might have a briefing on a particular product, and then you see it leak over to publication where they were also briefed on this product, and you think, well, how could they possibly leak this information? And that goes back years and years. I remember there was a classic CNET strategy, and this is seriously like 10 or 15 years ago, where they would send one of their reporters or reviewers to a reviewer's workshop, and then another one of them would report on everything that the other guy had learned. And it was because they just talked to each other. You knew that's what it was. They used to do this repeatedly. And those people have kind of come and gone. I don't mean to suggest CNET is, terrible or whatever. But that kind of thing's, there's all kinds of weird gray areas,
Yep.
We're all insecure in our own way. I mean, we want the credit, we're people,
We are. One last question for you, Paul. How's the mattress?
Mm-hmm. It's soft. It's softer than I thought it was going to be. My daughter, when she got hers, complained that it was too hard, and then we let her, we'll try it for a couple of days, and then she got to really like it. And I want to go down and my son has one too. I'm going to go try. I've been meaning to do that. Go just lay on it and see if it's the same. But I was surprised by how soft it was. But I actually slept really well last night. So
let me get this straight. You had two of these mattresses in your house, and you ordered one without trying the two that were already in your house.
Well, I had tried them at the time, and I remember liking them. In fact, my son's mattress, when that arrived, whenever that was, years ago, there was an instance where, I don't know, if my wife and kids or some portion of the family was gone on some trip, and I slept in it, 2 nights in a row or something. And I thought, this is great. This is nice. Someday when we replace our mattress, I will get one of these or whatever. But I just remember them being on the stiffer side compared, and this is way on the softer side. Like, it's really spongy. But that said, I mean, part of it is like it's sort of a memory foam kind of a thing. So, it will naturally contour to your body, I guess. It was really comfortable. I mean, I slept great. So
well, good.
I'll need more than one night to write a full review. I'm sorry. I'll take it with me on a trip. I think it weighs like 75 pounds or something.
That'd be fun. Well, I think we're out of time here, folks. So, well, the circle's closing in quite literally on me in PUBG, and that wraps it up for today. We'll be back Monday. Should be just a normal week. No holidays in the middle of everything going on. And have yourselves a wonderful, weekend. So messed up because I think it's Tuesday.
Yeah, thank you. Exactly. So this game, you can basically hide in a building for 50% of the time. Is there any sense on the map of other players?
Nope.
I don't even remember.
It's like playing Search and Destroy, but it's like playing hardcore deathmatch, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, I played it. The strategy part of it is kind of interesting to me.
Yeah, and I will tell you, playing it solo is not nearly as fun as playing it with a group.
Yeah, but what if you hate people?
Well, then it sounds like you have more problems.
Is there a one-on-one version of this game?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, you can see I'm right there, the circle's right there, and it just keeps getting smaller. Problem is I don't have headphones on, which makes this incredibly difficult because that's how you know
you want to hear where they're coming from. Yeah.
No doors. Well, nobody's been up here either.
Or they're smart and they're closing the doors behind them, which is
That's
what
just
I
a
would
dick move. Nobody does that.
do. That's just a dick move. I would totally do that. You got to be sneaky. It's like when you're running from the serial killer. You don't leave the one door open so he knows exactly which way you went.
And I intentionally jumped where there shouldn't be people, at least not yet, so don't need that.
Yeah, I think the one thing that this game has got going for it, well, there's a couple of things, but the one thing for me over, like, say, Fortnite is the lack of building stuff.
Yep.
Don't want to build anything. I'm not there for building. Creation is the exact opposite of what I want to do when I play this game.
What I need to do is find a vehicle. Oh, I'm going to die. Somebody just hit me from
Did you
somewhere.
just, it was like a ping of a bullet.
Somebody's hitting me. Oh,
Yep.
He's right there.
That's amazing.
Oh, no, he's in that building.
Is he?
Yeah, I saw his stinking head.
Okay.
See, this is where it sucks not having... I have no audio at all.
What did you just do?
I took a health kit.
No, I see. Yeah, that's what this game needs is claymores.
No, dude, it would ruin this game because then you'd have camping.
Oh, there he is. Oh, no, no, no. Oh, he's out in the open like a fool. Oh, jeez.
Damn. Sitting this close isn't exactly...
17 minutes of hiding wasted.
It's a fun game, though. I enjoy the hell out of there getting with a squad of four and going to town. All right.
Have a good one. Bye.